All right, good afternoon. This is Will Cain Country. Listen, I'm filling in today. I'm Joey Jones. We're streaming live on Fox News Facebook page, on foxnews.com. I've got the list here. Fox News YouTube channel, on terrestrial radio across the country, and on demand on Apple and Spotify. Basically, this show is everywhere, and I'm excited to host today. We've got some big topics to cover and probably even better guests to bring on. Let's look at this. So we've got our Democratic Socialist, the answer to MAGA. Is it ma'am, make America Marxist? I mean, are the inmates running the asylum? Yeah, and is In-N-Out Burger leaving California? Why didn't they stop in Texas? They're going straight to Tennessee. Is that a sign of bigger things to come in societal shift from the left coast or the left of politics? Is Hollywood so out of touch that they don't see their own demise? I think that's been the story for a while. And perhaps most importantly, is President Trump once again bringing the country together by saving Native Americans from complete cultural extinction? Is he going to bring back the Cleveland Indians and the Washington Redskins? As a Braves fan, I've got my eye on this story. It's a lot of fun stuff. We've got a lot of good guests. I don't even want to get into all of them. Well, I guess I will. We're about to bring on Emily Austin. If you don't know who she is, you're going to find out. She's fantastic. Then we've got Kirk Cameron, and I think we all grew up watching Growing Pains. And we've got one of my favorite celebrity athletes, a guy named David Wells. You probably know him from pitching a perfect game with the New York Yankees. I know him from my Fox Nation Outdoor show. We went hunting together and had a good time. Yeah, it's a great show. I don't want to prolong this any longer. I want to go ahead and bring in Emily Austin, my good friend, as of recently. Hey, Emily, how's it going?
Good. It's so nice that my first time on the show that you introduced me to, you're hosting.
Listen, you'll have probably more fun with Will, but I'm glad you came on with me today.
Stop.
This is probably, I guess, a little bit of a buried lead. I didn't address it on the nail on the head, but Zoran Mamdani is basically the leading front runner for to be mayor of New York, I guess, because I don't know that Adams or Cuomo are going to drop out and let one have it over the other. I don't know if they should. I don't know if either one of them should be mayor, but I guess New York City doesn't have a better option. What are your thoughts on him off the top? And then I've got some stuff I'll ask you about.
You know, it was very shocking to me when he actually won the initial election, because in my mind, I was like, there's no way. Like, listen, I know that we're still a blue city, and I know people are very uneducated. I know there's been a wave of like anti-West, anti-democracy, anti-law and order, anti-basically everything that's good for the country. But I really didn't think it'd get to a point that Mamdani is leading. Now, don't get me wrong. Cuomo and Adams are not great. I wish that Curtis could win. Realistically speaking, he's not going to win. Now, I don't know how accurate this report was, but I saw that Cuomo and Adams made a pact, which already sounds far-fetched to me, that whichever one was not leading is going to drop out and endorse the other. None of them seemed that altruistic to me, and there's a lot of egos involved in this game. But Mamdani winning is significantly worse than having any single one of the candidates. And I mean literally any of them besides the self-loathing Jew, because he's also pretty bad, but he's not an option anymore. And, you know, it's setting a precedent. We have that Somalian guy, I forgot his name. He looks like the guy from Captain Phillips running now in another city. And
Omar Fatah.
Yeah, and he just won too. And it's like, oh my God, communism's taking over. And it's I want people to do their homework. It's not hard. You have ChatGPT. Search what happened to communist Russia. Search what happened to communist Venezuela. There's a reason it doesn't work. There's a reason we don't like Putin. There's a reason that people, you know, you see society go towards a downfall when communism happens. Just do a 10-minute search and then see if you want your city to endure that. But it's like, you know what's the best part about Mamdani's campaign? Every person who's endorsing him with a platform are all people who've made their careers upon capitalism. And then once you're rich and famous and cool, you're endorsing the guy who wants to undo basically potential to grow up the ladder just as you did. So it's just a lot of idiots talking as if they have any, you know, knowledge as to what they probably don't even know what communism is. I bet you anything, Joey, they don't know how to define communism.
Well, I'm sure they don't know the difference between communism and Marxism.
No.
They probably haven't read Karl Marx, but they love the idea that you have something they don't have, so why not let the government take it from you and give it to them? But on that topic of Mamdani, I want to play this. This is a short clip from an interview that's resurfaced, and there's actually a lot in here. We've just got this one clip, though. Let's play it.
Are prisons obsolete?
I mean, what purpose do they serve?
Right.
I think we have to
You're
ask
saying
ourselves
right.
that, which is that, I think a lot of people who defend the carceral state, they defend the idea of it and the way it makes them feel.
Yeah, so he's talking about getting rid of prisons. In that same interview, he says, what does he say? Okay, let's abolish private property. And he talks about seizing the means of production, which is Marxism. So you're talking about New York City, the financial capital of the country, of the world. So you talk about seizing the means of production and abolishing private property in a city that literally is the last bastion in the world when it comes to true capitalism.
What really struck me from that is it was a bit blurred, like I didn't hear it that well. With all due respect, actually with no respect, I don't give a damn what prisoners feel. If you've done something to deserve your spot, he's talking about feelings now and criminals.
Yeah.
No, I care about how the victim feels. I don't care about the people who landed their way into prison. You had free will. You've had the free will to choose the path of righteousness, and you ended up in prison. So no, I don't care how you feel. I care about your victim. So this whole democratic idea of, well, everyone's just a person with feelings at the end of the day. That person with feelings could also just be a bad guy at the end of the day, and it's not your job to be their hero and come save them now. Why do prisons exist? Because criminals exist. And we don't want them running around the streets of Manhattan. So really, there's no way around it. It's like I've never seen such a time. And I'm still young, but like I've lived through Biden and Trump twice. So I'm smart enough to know criminals bad. Sometimes it's really just that simple. You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be a political expert. You don't have to be a banker. Criminals are bad. You don't keep them out of jail. Why do prisons exist? I wish they didn't have to, but look in New York. Someone's getting stabbed, raped, or killed every single day. In the middle of Times Square, CEOs are getting shot. That's why prisons exist. But the problem with Mamdani is that they want to reward the criminals and they want to incentivize more crime. It's like, we see what's happening in LA. It's a free-for-all.
Yeah.
So why would you want to bring that to this city?
Happening in New York.
I mean, New York's bad,
let
but
me
it has
ask you
potential.
this. Well, fair enough. Let me ask you this. So your age is not as relevant as I'll probably make it seem, but I do want to ask you. So I fought a war, and signed up to go be a bomb tech before I ever voted in a presidential election. I was in my early 20s before I cared. I had one election before that one I could have voted in. And because I never connected even my life in the military and the war to politics. I just didn't care. And so you're substantially younger than me. And I bring that up because you're an entrepreneur. You work in major sports, reporting on sports. You're very active in your religion and your ethnicity as being Jewish. Was October 7th a defining moment for you? Did you grow up conservative? What put you into a place where politics is going to be where you're most passionate, or at least where you express it the most?
I actually hated politics growing up. I grew up in a conservative home, but here's why I'm not so as extreme as everyone makes it seem. I personally don't care if there's a moderate Democrat in office, because my life, very selfishly, I grew up very privileged, will not change that much. So I'm all for a moderate Democrat. I'm not black or white when it comes to politics. I do have some left-leaning social politics. I'm pro-choice. I don't care if you're gay at all. It's literally not my problem. Leave the kids out of it. And conservatives frown upon that. But my turning point was going to college under Biden. Yes, October 7th was I guess a wake-up call, not for myself, because I don't want to say I saw October 7th coming. Nobody saw it coming, but I did see a rise in anti-Semitism before the 7th, and I could have predicted a hate crime would have happened. I thought it would be here, not in Israel. I thought Israel, could anticipate that. They lived through that. We don't, so it's a shock to me. And going to school under Biden is something I talk about a bit. I never elaborate. But it was traumatic. It was actually traumatic. Like, I'm not going to compare PTSD because you literally served in another country and, got blown up. We're not going to talk about it. But it was more like I look back and I think to myself, was that a dream? More of a nightmare. Was that a nightmare I lived through? Like, I got in trouble on university campuses for misgendering my professor. My classmate was a cat who would lick herself and sexualize everything into bestiality. Like, and then I was crazy for thinking it was weird. I was penalized for not wanting to write a final in political science on why is Trump Hitler. First of all, as a Jew, screw you. Second of all, I love him. So I wrote my essay on why I love Trump, and I failed. I didn't want to write about Leah Thomas in my sports reporting class. I wrote about Riley Gaines, and I failed. And it was all because Biden made it normalized to be so woke that in my head, I said, I don't even want to live like this anymore. I can't live in this country. Oh, the vaccines actually drew the line. I'm not like completely anti-vax, but I don't, like, I believe in my body, my choice to a certain extent when it comes to abortion up to like an early week. So I'm like, all of a sudden, it's my body, but it's not my choice. So I could kill a child in my stomach, so if I feel like it. But when it comes to you sticking a vaccine in my body that hasn't had enough research yet, you own my body now? The government owns my body. And the liberals couldn't acknowledge that. So to me, that's where I drew the line. And I was like, you know what? My sports could remain as is, but my politics need to get more heavy because this has to change. If Biden had won another election, I promise you, I was looking at real estate in Dubai.
Well, I mean, the reason why I bring that up is there's a reason why somebody like Mamdani is catching fire, and it's with young people. It's young people who haven't made it yet, and to their, to give them credit, probably feel like they can't. Like, probably because we do live in a world where houses cost so much more,
right,
and you have to have a dual income, so a traditional household isn't really even feasible. And so the reason why I ask, like, about your age and when you got involved in politics and how is, why is it that politics has affected you this way and so many other young people your age, have swung the other way? Like, what's bringing them the other way? Is it a lack of self-esteem? Like, they don't feel like they can do it?
Yeah.
Is it just that they're so ingrained in TikTok culture?
Yeah.
Like, what's bringing Zohran Mamdani to the forefront for them rather than for you? I guess it would be Donald Trump.
I feel like Mamdani is very good at, I guess, for lack of a better term, capitalizing. We don't believe in that. Capitalizing on people's victimhood, because he makes people feel seen and heard. And my favorite quote, possibly of all time, is Ben Shapiro's "Facts don't care about your feelings." Because my generation, Gen Z, is a generation built upon, oh, that hurts my feelings. My feelings matter. And no one's saying that they don't. But let's compare it to, let's say, my parents' generation. They were like children of boomers, where they came to this country. My mom is like the first lawyer in the family. Her sister was the first doctor. My dad, his parents barely spoke English when he came to America, and now he's successful. It's like they had to fight to make it. They had to work. They have to have that grit. And my generation were a bit spoon-fed, and not everyone, of course. Like, some people have it really rough. But I think in school, they're overkilling it with, well, how do you feel? Like, if I said something, I remember as young as the 4th grade, I was like, no, don't call my mom. She's going to kill me if you call her because I missed, like, or cheated on a test or something. And they called Child Protective Services on my mom because I said she's going to kill me if you call her. And it's like, they've raised us to be soft. Now, I know better because my parents were heavily involved in my upbringing. And, like, if I was like, Mom, I want if I want blue hair, no. Don't come home with that. I'll beat you up. Like, they drew the line. But a lot of parents are busy working, don't have time to, like, monitor everything that their child's doing and be involved with the schools. And the schools are creating a soft generation. So when Mamdani comes in and he's catering to people's feelings and, oh, you can't afford your rent? Oh, well, don't get a roommate. I'll give you free rent. Oh, don't get a job. You'll get unemployment money. It's like you're rewarding laziness and you're rewarding people who can't find themselves or just haven't figured it out yet. And it's like, I have people my age that are very impressive. I have a friend right now paying rent in Soho. He has 2 roommates because they all work very hard and they're splitting rent. But by no means are they, like, cheating the system and they're going to be rewarded you know, from laziness. And Mamdani's promising free, 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 which is very appealing to Gen Z. But someone's paying for it. And it's like, to me, that's common sense. Nothing is free in life. Who's going to pay for that? There's going to be a gap now, and someone's going to have to cover that. But it's going to be the working class who's going to cover it. So I thought there were enough smart voters out there. And sorry, last point. I know I'm rambling. Apparently, and I don't know how true the statistic is, there's 12 million voters registered in Manhattan, unless that number changed. And allegedly 9 million are Jews. So I'd love to think Jews run the world and we run the media, but if Mamdani's winning and we're allegedly 9 million out of 12 million voters, something's not adding up here. Like, I don't want to think my own people are voting for the demise of the Jewish people in Manhattan. So I need to figure out what's going on here, because I didn't think Adams was so disliked. I thought it was just a me thing.
Well, I mean, that's fair. That's the same problem with Fatah. I mean, he wrote a letter after October 7th. Well, we don't even need to pull it up, but he basically said, "Oh, this is terrible, and I'm mad at the Israeli government," you know. And so this idea that these younger Marxist, you know, maybe their ethnicity and background matters to people. I don't know. I mean, both of these people obviously have that element to their background, but I think it's more so this idea that they have been the ones that in these bigger cities, that Marxism and victimhood is what's going to resonate with people rather than do it yourself, give me a chance. And, you know, I want to move on a little bit, but I think you're onto something when you say, like, people are it's not even their own identity that they're, because it's, you know, it's a lot of padded life liberals that are voting for these people. And so maybe it is coming from a point of empathy. Maybe it is coming from a point of we can make things better for everybody. But how anti-American is it to not want it to be, let me make things better for me? I mean, that's the American way. I mean, you know.
You know what's really hysterical?
Yeah.
Central Park, I think, just opened a big public free pool. And a lot of these people on TikTok are making videos like, see, this is what communism is. Look at this pool. It's free and everyone's enjoying. By the way, I heard it's disastrous. But a billionaire donated that pool. And that's not something that they'll ever highlight. And they don't understand a lot of the things that people enjoy the most that are free are usually subsidized or donated by a wealthy person. So it's like they're hurting themselves. I don't get it.
Well, one thing, I do want to move on, and we could have this conversation, but one thing people don't understand when they argue taxes is, because I work in the nonprofit space, there's no country in the world that has the efficiency and services that we have when we have nonprofits that provide services. They take all the bureaucracy out of it. Those only exist because of tax opportunities. And so it's like, people don't understand that money is a part of people's tax dollars. It just gives us a choice to spend our money when it comes to helping others through nonprofits rather than a bureaucratic government.
Yeah.
Listen, I want to get to this because I think this is awesome. You wrote me about it. You actually got a chance to interview President Trump.
Yeah.
Like I said, you do sports as well. We've got that clip. Let's check it out.
Oh.
Well, it's a big thing, and, you know, Johnny's a friend of mine. He's done such a great job with the league and with soccer, or they would call it football, but I guess we call it soccer. I'm not sure that change could be made very easily.
What if we make an executive order? We can only say football from now on.
I think we could do that. I think I could do that.
People got mad about that. I thought it was hysterical.
Listen, I was about to get mad about that. Are you kidding me? We are not giving up football to some European league. Where are you coming from there?
No, I just said we're not allowed to say soccer anymore because it's football. So we need to get hip. Apparently the cool kids say that it's football. I'm telling you, I work with DAZN and we're an international company, so soccer is like non-existent. We don't say it. We say football. And everyone's British, so I've adopted quite a British accent this week. But besides that, literally I was the only human being in the entire arena saying soccer. So when he said that, for whatever reason, I just thought to make the joke. And then I saw it got picked up by so many outlets, like Trump to make an executive order. I'm like, oh my God, he was kidding. Oh my God, it was so funny. I saw Fox picked it up too, but they didn't credit me. Awkward.
Well, we were giving you credit right now.
Yes.
We literally just gave you credit. Well, how did you get the opportunity to interview President Trump?
So I overheard that there was a press pool. And, okay, when Trump was campaigning, he said he wants to give opportunities to independent journalists, and he kept his promise on that, per usual, because he keeps all his promises. And one thing he did was, I guess, grant access to independent journalists. So when I was invited to the White House during that whole Epstein binder disaster, I basically got like White House clearance, and I was invited by J.D. Vance. So when I heard he was coming, I was like, I kind of already have clearance. Let me just ask, the media people in the White House if they can get me access. And I was just like ready to do one or two quick hits, like fun, rapid, lightning, whatever questions. And they were like, yeah, we got you 10 minutes, alone with the president. And I was like,
Oh, wow.
yeah, I was pretending that that's what I had wanted. I was like, yeah, of course. No, great. Can we get 15 minutes? But really in my head, I was prepared to ask 2 or 3 questions. And the president was it wasn't my first time meeting him. And to his credit, he recognized me, and he only met me a handful of times, like in passing, besides the day at the White House with JD. And he was so freaking cool. I mean, I always say how cool he is, but really, like, we could have chat for an hour, except I didn't want to keep him because Chelsea was scoring so many goals while we were chatting. And he was so down to earth and so humble. And that's the side of him. This interview was the side of him. And even before the interview started, that's a side I wish more people saw. And he shows it. Like, he's very blunt and truthful and just, like, vulnerable when he speaks in general. But he's really just a funny guy. He's a funny guy. He's very smart. He actually knows exactly what he's talking about when it comes to football. I know it was fun to, like, for once not talk about the politics with the president. So it was cool.
So it was a sports-only interview. Did you ask him about college football at all?
No, we had to keep it FIFA related. What was funny is he politicized such a non-political question. I asked him, like, obviously I knew the answer was no, but I had to ask because I thought he'd gas us up a bit. I was like, do you ever see America dominating on a global stage in soccer? And he's like, no, but we are dominating in everything else because Biden was the worst president ever. And now America's amazing.
Listen. The number one rule is don't answer the question you're asked, answer the question you want to answer,
Exactly.
and that man knows it as well as anybody. Look, not everybody thinks Trump is fun and entertaining. As a matter of fact, some people who, I guess, used to have the job of being fun and entertaining are kind of mad at him. Listen to this quote, or let's play this video from Stephen Colbert, who just got his termination papers.
On Friday, Donald Trump posted, I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings. How dare you, sir? Would an untalented man be able to compose the following satirical witticism? Go yourself.
Okay, so before you react, let me say, I think that's actually kind of funny. I thought that was funny because, I mean, Trump just literally skewered him, and he's kind of making fun of himself. It's like satirical witticism, and he literally just says an insult. I remember Stephen Colbert when he was the conservative-leaning funny guy, not in real life, but his character for Jon Stewart. And everybody, I worked on the Hill when he came up there and rode a bicycle down the hall, and everybody kind of loved him. Like, is he the kind of guy that can't get out of his own way? Like, he had the winning formula, and he lost it. Like, I mean, Shane Gillis is killing it. And Colbert decides to have Adam Schiff on his show instead of Tom Cruise, I guess we're learning this week. Now he's canceled.
Wait, I'll tell you something really awkward to admit publicly. Well, first, I don't mean to brag, but I've never watched Stephen Colbert's show in my life. Like, actually ever. And I do watch TV and I watch movies, so that's for starters. Number 2, really awkward admission. I had no clue he was a comedian. I swear to God, and I do not swear, I thought he was a political commentator. I didn't know he was a comedian.
Well,
and then my girlfriend the other day, she posted on her story a selfie with him. She goes, I'm old enough to remember when he was a comedian. And I thought she was joking, so I swiped up, and I was like, when was he a comedian? She's like, he still is. And I was like, no shit. Like, it can't be, because I've only heard his name in the context of having Trump derangement syndrome. I've never actually heard anything about his success as a comedian. So it was just a bit of a culture shock for me. It's sad his only, like, banger of a joke in the last decade has been admitting that Trump skewered him, which actually was funny. But it's like, my take is, should it be controversial? It's not. If someone's your president, it's to your best interest to watch them succeed because they're your president too, whether you voted for them or not.
Yeah.
Now, I detest Biden. I'm not going to do, oh my God, he's sick, whatever. Like, I don't like the guy. It's sad he's sick, and I hope for him to get better, but he is a freaking nightmare of a president. Okay, I hate him. Nonetheless, when he was my president, I never personally attacked him. I attacked his policies. I didn't like that his son was a cocaine addict. I attacked him for that. But at the end of the day, I was hoping for him to win because I suffer if my president is not doing a good job. And as Republican as I am, at least I can recognize that and live with the fact that he was still my president despite me not voting for him. And it's like a lot of these comedians and Hollywood actors and people who suffer from TDS it's almost like, the hashtag not my president. Okay, but he is your president. So how are you creating an alternate reality where he's not and, encouraging others to join you on the stupid train when he is in fact your president? And you have to live with that and you need to cope harder.
I think you might have just defined the Democratic Party, creating an alternate reality where you invite others to join you on the stupid train. Emily Austin, thanks for joining, man. I enjoyed this conversation. I didn't know it was a full 10-minute interview. I'm going to go find that and try to post it on my social media. But you're doing a bang-up job, and you're just getting started. So I hope you come back on the show when Will's on. You'll have more fun with him, I think.
Oh, stop. Thank you.
We'll see you. Hey, guys, this is Will Cain Country. We're going to take a quick break. We've got a real cool interview coming up right after the break. All right, guys, welcome back to Will Cain Country. I'm your guest host today, Joey Jones. I hope you've been listening the whole show, but if you're just now tuning in, this is a banger of a show. We just had Emily Austin on talking about everything happening in New York and kind of, she's a younger commentator. She's in sports, talking about President Trump. Had a real good time with her. But now we get to bring in a real star, somebody that we've known, if you're my generation, you knew him growing up. And I knew him through Growing Pains, but also knew him through his faith-based movies that my mom bought and I watched and I thought were fantastic. I think it was called the Left Behind series. Is that right? We've got Kirk Cameron joining us now. Kirk, how's it going, man?
Hey, man, it's going really good. That's just so funny. Your mom bought these movies and that you watched them.
Well,
and, your mom and I, we grew up together back in the 1980s, so we had a lot in common. We had the best
they call that,
we had the best culture going on back then.
They call that the late 1900s. I've got a 15-year-old son. He's like, Dad, tell me about the late 1900s. I'm like, well, it was Ninja Turtles, man. That's what it was. Thanks for joining us. Listen, I know you... Go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just we could get into a whole hour-long conversation about that. Like all my music now is nostalgic. Like I don't listen to anything that came out after 2007 or 8, but mostly 90s. And the whole world, this TV shows, like I think the 80s and 90s probably were it, don't you? I mean, it probably were, that was the best time. I don't know, maybe not, but that's what I think.
So that's when I grew up. And we had guys like Prince and so many other icons in the music world that we remember from the 80s. Of course, every decade has their icons. But all I know is that my daughter is having a 1980s themed birthday party for her 1-year-old next week. So I'm coming as myself in costume. I don't even have to dress up. And I can be Mike Seaver, perfectly themed for the 1980s.
Man, that is so awesome. I didn't even think about that. It's so funny you say that. My niece, she's 17 now, and that's what she did 4 or 5 years ago. We had an 80s themed birthday party for her. And one of my best friends is in his 60s, and he did the same thing. He dressed as a picture of himself from the 80s. And it was hilarious because he's a much different person now. We'll put it to you that way. We talk about nostalgia, and this is kind of a great way to introduce this topic. And we're going to get to some important things, some things you're doing here in a minute. But, one of my favorite actors growing up, one of my favorite movies growing up was Dumb and Dumber. But also, I'm a student of history, so I watched Gettysburg, and Jeff Daniels played an array of people in those 2 movies. I even liked the Newsroom show he did. I think that's what it was called. It's an Aaron Sorkin show. And I just think he's a great actor, but he's on this train of, we've got to blame Donald Trump for everything that's ever gone wrong in the world. And I just want to play this clip and get your thoughts on it.
We've lost decency, we've lost civility, We've lost respect for the rule of law, lost it. We have normalized verbal abuse on the internet. We've normalized bullying, much as the woke generation tried to, change that. It's back. And out the window goes character, integrity. Ideally, we're supposed to elect the best of us, not the worst of us. He's everything that's wrong with not just America, but with being a human being.
Listen, I'm not going to ask you to go like sweeping partisan on this because I don't think that's what this conversation is. There's that meme where that young kid's on the football field. He's like, man, they had us in the first half, and then it's like, but then the second half, and it's like he had me all the way through there. I'm not going to argue with any of the things he called out. But I just don't understand why if that's truly what you believe, and then maybe he's a good actor. I think he does care about those things, probably. But if it all goes back to Donald Trump, like you're losing half the country and pointing it out. Like, why does that need to be? I guess for me as a conservative, I say, man, cell phones are killing us. Social media is killing us. Our lack of faith is killing us. It's not about Democrats or one person. It's like, why do you got to pivot and just go straight to blaming it all on Trump?
Those are all really good questions. And if you didn't know his political persuasion, you as a conservative or I as a conservative might say, man, I agree with that. I agree with that. That's important. That's important. That's important. And
exactly.
then I thought he was talking about Biden. I thought he was talking about Kamala. I thought he was maybe talking about Obama. And then, oh wait, he's talking about Trump. And it's interesting. I think it's a fascinating thing that if we were to ask a conservative, do you care about kids? Do you have compassion toward marginalized groups of people? Do you think that people should get a fair shot and equal opportunity at life, or just the elite class? They'd say, well, of course, I agree with all that stuff that you just said. And if you ask people over on the other side of the aisle, they say, well, yeah, we agree with all that stuff too. Do you believe in honesty and integrity and character and responsibility? Absolutely. And you have people on both sides who think that the other side is evil, saying that they care about the same things and they want to go about it in a different way. And, I think this highlights the problem and why politics tend to be so confusing. One of the things that I think we need to do is we need to get to original sources for information. When people say that so-and-so is a bigot, or so-and-so is a racist, or so-and-so is misogynistic or homophobic or xenophobic or whatever, people say that about me. I'm none of those things.
Sure.
But they'll say that they are, and many other people then believe what others say about someone like me, and they believe all that stuff. And I'm probably guilty of it too, because I trust certain sources more than I trust other sources. I may say, hey, Will Cain's got there's a guy who's spitting fire and truth, and I want to believe what he says because I haven't taken the time to research that topic. And then you have groups of people who just believe what their favorite influencer on TikTok has to say to them. So we get into this mess, and we need to get down to what did this person say? And it's becoming harder with AI. We don't know what's a deep fake and what's not, what photos are real and are not.
Yeah.
We have the DOJ and the FBI telling us things that many of us suspect may or may not be true. What kind of cover-ups are actually happening with the Epstein files and MLK and JFK? It's becoming difficult to discern truth. And I think that you can justify both good and evil with the same words, depending on the perspective that you start with and your worldview. So, hey man, it's difficult. And I appreciate the work that you're trying to do, that Will's doing. And at the end of the day, as a guy who so my North Pole is the Bible, the scriptures. I want to do what honors God and is going to bless my family and other families. And I'm so thankful that the election went in the direction that it did. And so are millions and millions of other people. So those are my thoughts here at the moment.
No, those are the thoughts. And that's what frustrates me about this. if you see me on Fox, I will lean in on, on a joke. I always use sarcasm. I'll lean in on, Andrew Cuomo, like, what are you thinking? Or it may sound like a personal attack, but usually it's lighthearted because ultimately I like people. I went and fought 2 wars for everyone in this country. And so, like, if we can't agree on stuff, like, for example, all the stuff you just brought in, like, helping people find their way up on the ladder, or I don't think anybody likes bullying. I think there's a version of bullying that's like, hardens you if you react the right way, but we don't promote it, and we certainly get rid of it when it's causing teen suicide. But it's like, if we can't agree on that stuff, how do we get that element out that is politically advantageous for one candidate or the other? I think that's basically what you're saying, and I don't know the answer to that. I know that people like you probably help. I'm kind of going in a different direction than where I thought this conversation would go, but I think it's important. I'm going to stop shy of naming a name, but I used to live down further south in Georgia. Pinewood Studios was down there. And one of the people in charge of Pinewood Studios, and for those that don't know the backstory to Pinewood Studios, is that it was funded by Chick-fil-A, by Dan Cathy. It's where they made all the Marvel movies. I mean, like 80% of the Marvel movies were made there. Disney was full on. You had the Georgia Heartbeat Bill, which kind of disrupted things, but they didn't leave then. And long story short, I got a call one time from a major executive over there. And he said, this is what you need to know. He's like, most actors are about 50-50, conservative, Republican. He goes, and most of the executives and producers, or the majority of them, probably lean right, but it's the writers and showrunners that are incredibly left, and that's the ones the producers want to be able to get their writing, and the actors want to be able to act their writing, and they control this little bit of a narrative, or they control the culture in Hollywood. You're the first person I've had a chance to ask that about. Is that true? Does that make sense?
Short answer is I don't know. I don't know
Fair
exactly.
enough.
And things change over time. Political winds change, and people come out of the closet from one group, and then other people run into the closet, depending on who's going to get fired and who's going to get blacklisted based on whether you're saying what's politically correct this term versus last term.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of conservative groups that are now making movies and writing films, and people who are saying, I finally can start working with companies and independent companies that are not part of the big studios that are making great projects. Look at The Chosen. There's an interesting thing. You've got a cultural phenomenon that took place. Nobody saw it coming. And here you've got a show that all people from all walks of life want to be a part of because of the great values that it has. And then you've also got industries that are continuing to pump out the opposite. But I think that people are beginning to see the collapse of a world built by poor values, characterized by this woke movement and all of that our colleague there was talking about a minute ago. And they want something better because they understand that ideas are the things that frame the world that our children will live in, and they want something good for them. And I think the pendulum's swinging back the other way. But rather than just left or right, we've got to make the big decision between up or down. We either go up to the values of heaven and that which is timeless and is going to last generationally, or we're going to go down to the pit of bondage and tyranny and destruction and the death of what is good and true and beautiful. We can't play this left-right game forever and just keep swinging back and forth. We got to go up and stay up and head to our true north. And that's about truth and beauty and goodness and character and all of that. And I believe the Constitution, and I believe it's the values of the Pilgrim forefathers and foremothers that made this country the place that everybody wants to break the law to get into. And we've got to accompany that with character. Opportunity is great, as long as we accompany that with hard work and compassion and virtue.
What you're saying is you can't do it. There's no easy button. It's like you got to do.
There's no such thing.
The hard way is usually the hard way because it's not instant gratification. It isn't. Yeah. I mean, I beat up on cell phones, but I have one attached to me. It's like 3 clicks to anything I want. And it's like, well, sometimes you just got to work for it. And something, life is this like continual journey of working for it, of working a little bit harder for goodness or to do right by people. And when people tell those stories, like you just said, it gets rewarded. I just finished House of David, and it's got they take some liberties with it, but I mean, we don't have to look far for a hero story. You know what I mean? Like this guy literally is the underdog who becomes the hero and is, by the way, very flawed. And it's, it's like there are some stories we could tell from Scripture, but also from people doing the right thing that resonate with people. And maybe now more than ever, you have that opportunity to tell those stories.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think that Trump and his fearlessness after being, the attempted assassination and all of the scams and hoaxes and the things and just unbelievable onslaught. How does a man stay standing after all of this? And he continues to just shoot from the hip and say what I think he truly believes. And I think that has emboldened a lot of people to come out of the closet and say, let's not be afraid of the media and cancel culture and what other people think, and let's start speaking the truth. It's like now or never, because the other side is speaking their values and they're shaping the future of our children every single day. If we don't show up and speak up now and begin living those values, we won't have the freedom to live them or speak about them later. So I think, we're going to start seeing a lot of new things. I feel rumblings under my feet of a resurgence of first principles in America and people wanting to get back to God and traditional family and the values that have made us the freest, most generous and prosperous nation in the world. It's selfishness, it's pride, it's lust, it's greed that tanks any society, that tanks every marriage, will tank any family that gets away from those values, that North Star of virtue that have always made us an exceptional people. Every time we stray, we suffer. And we've been suffering. And so it's time to get to recalibrate the compass. And let's get back to being good. If we ever want to be great, we've got to understand that we've got to first be good. And in order to do that, we got to be a people who loves and prays and is about the truth.
Well, I mean, we say this in the South, Lord knows I need to do it. Lord knows that, we all need to work on it. None of us are perfect.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the point of it all.
Yeah.
But you're somebody that is doing it the hard way. You're doing it the grassroots way. I definitely want to get time to talk about this. You're doing See You at the Library. Yeah. And so, I've got notes here, but I'd love for you to just talk about it. It seems like it really is just like a labor of love, something that started small and is kind of blown up for you.
Yes, so See You at the Library is my take on See You at the Pole. Remember that?
Yeah.
Everybody gather at the school and gather at the pole to pray and thank God for his blessings and protection over the teachers. Well, we, a couple of years ago, got locked out of public libraries when I and Brave Books, this beautiful little book publishing company out of Texas, wanted to go do a story hour. When all the drag queens are doing drag time story hour, I want to go in and read a book about the fruit of the Spirit, like love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness. I figured these are good things for families and kids today. And they said, no, we don't want those messages and values in our libraries. Well, I said, I think your community does, and you don't own your library. The community does. So I showed up, and we were overwhelmed with thousands of parents and grandparents. This has spread to a movement across the country. And the last 2 years, we've had this national event. This year, it's bigger than ever. We have had over 360 libraries participating on this one day. This year, we're hoping for 550,000 people. And we are gathering at the libraries to sing patriotic songs, songs of gratitude and thankfulness for God's blessing, to pray, and then read stories out of books of virtue and character for our children. And this is called See You at the Library. It's happening August 16th, and we encourage everybody to be a part of it by going to seeyouatthelibrary.com. And you can find the map with your library in your county, or you can start a story hour on that day by adopting your library, and we'll teach you how to do it.
Yeah. That's awesome, man. My son does See You at the Pole with FCA, so I know exactly what you're talking about. And a Fellowship of Christian Athletes,
it's so encouraging.
His high school promotes it. And so see you at the library is like that next step, which the library is across the street from literally the pole so I'm going to tell him about it. So yeah, tell the website again and tell the date again so people get that.
It's seeyouatthelibrary.com, and it is on August 16th all over the nation. I will be at a very exciting and large library kind of kicking it off, and the rest will be manned by moms and dads and grandparents and grandkids singing, praying, and reading books of virtue. Man, I appreciate you coming on, Kirk Cameron. You've been a part of my life for longer than you know, but to sit here and interview and talk to you a little bit about things that matter, that's pretty cool. So thanks for joining us, man, and we really appreciate it. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Thanks for filling in for Will, and thank you for all the great work that you're doing, man. We need it. Yes, sir. Same to you. All right, guys, this is Will Cain Country. We're going to take a quick break, come back with a sports legend who's got a personality to match. Stay with us. All right. All right, guys, welcome back to Will Cain Country. I'm your guest host today, Joey Jones. I hope you've been listening. We've had a couple great conversations so far. We've covered a little bit of the news of the day, but if you heard that with Kirk Cameron just now, covering things that are important, covering values and standing up for things you believe in, covering, walking away from probably what was a lucrative career for him to do the things that he believed in. A really cool conversation there. And so I hope you listened. If you didn't, go back and check it out. But now it's time to move on to somebody I know pretty personally. I've watched his skills in action as a hunter. Didn't watch him play baseball, I'm not going to lie. But I did. This is David Wells. David Wells, legendary Yankees pitcher. And I did bring a separate hat just for this interview, David. I don't know if you can see me. And if you can't, that's okay. But that's all right. This is actually not just to troll you for being a Yankees pitcher. It's also because the topic we're going to cover. I just happen to be an Atlanta Braves fan. This year, not so great. I know they went the first two games. The Yankees were just playing Atlanta. In the first two games, Atlanta won the first one, should have won the second one. I don't know if they had the third game already. I've been busy, so I don't know if the third game was yesterday, but they've been playing this week. Long story short, the Braves kind of suck this year, and the Yankees should be better. So I think is that fair? Yeah, very fair. If they had a guy, I don't know. I don't know how much of this story you'd ever want to tell. I have two David Wells stories that are kind of evergreen, and I don't know if you tell any of them really. But when you wore Babe Ruth's hat through half of a game, I think that's just the coolest thing ever. You want to tell that story real quick?
Well, it was one inning because Joe Torre, when I bought the hat, I told everybody I'm going to wear this hat, and Joe caught wind of it and he says, "You're not wearing that hat." And I go, "Why wouldn't you want me to wear that hat? You're a Yankee historian. You're the manager. It would be cool." And he told me it wasn't the required uniform. So I said, "I'm going to wear it." You didn't want the fine. That's what it was. Yeah, he goes, I'm going to wear it anyway. He didn't want the fine. And he said, "No, you're not." And I go, "We'll see." And so that day in '97, I wore the hat out there against Cleveland. And you know what? I came off the mound. He was not happy. And I told you I was going to wear that hat. And he ended up finding me $2,500. And, the rest is history. But I did wear that hat. So it was good.
You know what? Even back then, $2,500 is pretty much worth a good story for the rest of your life. I mean, I think you came out on the winning end of that one. It's funny. You said you were playing the Cleveland Indians. I guess they don't exist anymore. Now they're what are they called? The Guardians? Is that right? Cleveland Guardians?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I still call
and now we've got the Washington. Well, and I'm glad you do. And that's why I wanted to have you on today. We've got the Washington Commanders. For whatever reason, Trump this week decided to take a stand against eliminating Native Americans from sports. Like I said, I'm wearing my Tomahawk hat, my Atlanta Braves Tomahawk hat, because God forbid they come for us. I mean, we got the Tomahawk chop. But what are your thoughts on this? I've got Trump's tweets here, his Truth Social post, and I'm going to read them real quick. It says the Washington whatevers should immediately change their name back to the Washington Redskins football team. There's a big clamoring for this. Likewise, the Cleveland Indians, one of the 6 original baseball teams with a storied past. Our great Indian people in massive numbers want this to happen. Their heritage and prestige is systematically being taken away from them. Times are different now than they were 3 or 4 years ago. We're a country of passion and common sense. Owners get it done. And then his second post, I won't read the whole thing, but he talks about the owner of the Cleveland baseball team, Matt Dolan, who is very political. He lost 3 elections. And it's like Trump's basically saying you're hurting yourselves here. People want their mascots and their nicknames back. You played in baseball that's got 2 of the most famous ones, the Cleveland Indians, Atlanta Braves. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because in 1972, when I was a youngin', I became a Redskins fan. So I was Chargers and Redskins growing up in San Diego, like I was Padres and Yankees. And so the Redskins have been my favorite team since then. And when the Chargers left town, San Diego went hysterical and everyone threw their jerseys away, which I did. I kept one, LaDainian Tomlinson. He's a good friend, so I kept his jersey. Yeah, and so the Redskins have always been my team. Art Monk, who just got inducted into the Hall of Fame, from what I hear, was my favorite wide receiver, and I've got a signed jersey by Art Monk, and I've had it for 30 years, so it couldn't be better because when they changed the name to the Commanders, I went nuts. And it's always been Washington Redskins. It's always been Cleveland Indians. And every time they try to, change the name for whatever purposes they think that, America's racist or whatever it may be, you know what? Those teams been there since day one. Quit trying to change it and change a country. They're stupid for doing that.
Do you think Trump getting behind it is the key? I mean, the Redskins, they've had owner trouble for a long time, and they've had culture trouble, and hope is they get out of it because they're one of those perennial teams that, good or bad, there's a huge fan base. They're in the nation's capital. Trump says he can pull funding and make it happen. Do you support that?
I support it 100%, and I think he should do it. I mean, I just don't understand in sports. I mean, it's whatever, it's your pastime. Me, baseball, whether it be football, NBA, hockey, whatever it is, quit trying to change the names. Keep the integrity of that because people had stuff from way back before you and I were born. And to me, to finally have a president that's going to stand up for everything, for our rights, make our country better, and do all that kind of stuff. I mean, if he's got the power to do it, I'm all in for it. I'm backing him up 100%. And because we need the integrity of everything back to normal, instead of just trying to change every single thing, nitpicking on everything. Because I don't know what the other side's doing, but they're trying to do it in an abundance, and it's not fair.
It kind of reminds me, sometimes ignorance is bliss, but sometimes ignorance is a scourge on the earth. Because I haven't researched this heavily, but I know the Washington Redskins, they worked with Native tribes, and it was intended to honor Native Americans.
Sure.
And it's like this idea, it's like the Aunt Jemima thing. They never stopped to think about the fact that Aunt Jemima is this entrepreneurial figure that showed that a black woman could become, famous for the rest of history for her hard work. They turned on Aunt Jemima, So of course they're going to turn on the Washington Redskins without looking up even anything about it. To me, that's what's hilarious about this whole thing.
My favorite syrup of all time, Aunt Jemima. I grew up with her, and on every pancake, waffle, French toast, you name it, and crepes even. But that's what I'm talking about. It's they're nitpicking on every detail, whatever it may be. If it's Native American, African American, they're just trying to cancel us all, and for what? For their own. I still can't understand why they're doing it. For their good measure, for whatever it may be. But to me, Joey, it's something that it's just sick. It makes you sick to your stomach to see these types of people change, our history of life that we were so accustomed to.
You know, when we go outside of the scope of just, you know, mascots and names, we look at sports. There's this kind of dual argument. Now, in fact, there's a guy named Gautam Chopra. His dad is Deepak Chopra. Gautam is a huge sports fan, extremely liberal. He told me Kamala Harris would be in the White House 10 years before she was VP. Like, he's wealthy, he's in California, he's in the know in the DNC. But he's a good guy. And he has this belief that politics has always been a part of sports, that sports is always kind of, you know, politics is downstream from culture, as Andrew Breitbart used to say, and that sports is a part of that conversation. I looked at it, I guess my politics and sports started with Colin Kaepernick, and I looked at it the other way. Like, sports should try to be devoid of politics because it's a place for us to argue about other things. You know, it's a place to hate each other for other reasons. And I say that jokingly, but, you know, as a big sports fan, I just never, if you would have asked me before 2008 or 9, if I was, how do I identify? I think Georgia Bulldogs and Atlanta Braves fan would have come before Republican, and now those things seem to be intertwined. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, there's no room for politics. I think that's why I was on 9 different teams, because I spoke my mind dramatically, as you know. But for me, you're right in that sense, because you want to take politics out of everything, and sports is a place to do it. But now they're butting in on it. They're trying to make it political, and they're trying to change everybody. They're trying to push everybody to one side. And then so now you've got your Democrat or your Republican, and they're trying to push everybody to fight against one another, when sports is sports. Leave politics out of it. There's no reason for it to be in it. But, you know, if you have your own political reasons, use that outside the lines, not inside the lines. And to me, you know, it's hard for me to watch. Kaepernick's the reason why I don't watch the NFL. You know, you take a knee, you disrespect, you know, our country, our military especially, and what you fought hard for, and your colleagues that you've lost, and all that stuff. That makes no sense to me. So, you know, and then you got all these other sports that are following suit and trying to do all that stuff and change it. Leave it out there. You know, go rally, go do that after the game somewhere else, but keep it out of sports. You're 100% right.
Man, you talk about supporting the military. I know you support the military. We run into each other at fundraisers all the time, mostly Tunnel to Towers. Tell us what you got going on, and I know that you always you're doing your own efforts. Tell us about it real quick before we let you go.
Well, I started the Perfect 33 Foundation, I think 11 years ago, for our military guys, our Navy SEALs and military, for TBI. Just moving forward, I hooked up with Frank Siller and Tunnel to Towers. So now we're building homes for, catastrophic, injured first responders, military, and now we're doing homeless vets. So to me, that's just a huge thing. I just had my event which you spoke at my event in May at Bedminster. And so we were very successful there. So either to help out, our first responders, military, but our homeless vets, which is near and dear to me because I grew up in San Diego, and that's a military town. Yeah. So for me, that's just huge. And, as long as I'm breathing and vertical, I'm going to keep doing what I do to help our guys out and our men and women in the service, our first responders, because you guys deserve it. You make us safe. I feel safe. My kids feel safe, and we have the liberties to go out and do what we want to do. In fact, next Monday, I'm taking my boys to South Africa. We're going to go do some hunting there. And, I'm getting fired up for it because we're all bow hunters. So we're going to go out there and do our best with bow hunting.
Yeah, I did. I think my first bow hunt ever was with you on Fox Nation Outdoors. And you had a more impressive kill, but I was real impressed with the fact I got it done because I didn't think I could. And we became friends over that, and I didn't know your politics. I mean, we talked, but that wasn't what it was about. It was about hunting and having fun,
And that's what it was about. And talk about my impression. You were more impressive because you never shot a bow. They set a bow up for, I think Freddie Hartai set up a bow for you. You come walking into camp. You're at 40 yards, first shot, bullseye at 40 yards. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. They didn't know your draw length. They didn't know everything. And then you go out there and whack a nice mule deer as well. And I'm just like, now that's impressive. I mean, the whole story, I won't tell viewers the whole story, but to me, that was the most impressive hunt I think I've ever seen in my life. So, kudos to you for sticking it out, and we were both successful. So that was great.
Hey, listen, it's awesome I can put an arrow where I want it to go. I wish I could have put a baseball where I wanted it to go. I probably would have made a lot more money at that. But I appreciate the accolade, man. Thanks for pointing out first responders in the charity work. I really appreciate that. A lot of our viewers and listeners know that I just did a book, Behind the Badge, that highlights non-first responder stories, and it's near and dear to my heart. And I appreciate the fact that you and now Tunnel to Towers are taking care of first responders like our veterans, because I think they deserve it. And we don't have to look far to see those stories.
No, you don't. And before I go, you got the hat on, but we whooped them in the '92 World Series. I've got a little history against the Braves, but never played there. Too hot for me. But we got the ring, and you got the second place ring. But that's all right. You got to be a fan of somebody.
Oh man, I tell you what, brother, I'm glad we're friends, because you'd have made me feel bad just now.
Nah,
David Wells, thanks for joining. And listen, be safe out there. Go have fun with your boys, and send me some pictures.
I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.
All right, take care, brother. All right, that's been a quick hour. We went over a little bit, actually, because we had a lot of good conversations. 3 different guests, important things happening in the world. This is Will Cain Country. I'm your guest host, Joey Jones. Thank you guys for listening and watching.